A common misconception is midwives normally deliver in homes, but quite often they deliver here in hospitals. Tenants say this is a win-win situation, not only for them, but for the landlords as well. We're here at Shady Beach in Norwalk, Connecticut, covering the Tri-Fitness Women's Triathlon Sprint. Exams showed the rabbits had bite marks, mites, and syphilis. Now, I spoke to a NYCHA building caretaker who said that most of the problems here were caused by the tenants. So one of the major questions at the meeting was whether or not the officials would be forced to give federal officials information on undocumented immigrants, leaving them vulnerable to deportation. In New York City, I'm Rose Itzcovitz.
It's face up, which is the...
Many call the practice old-fashioned, but thanks to recent media attention from the likes of Prince William and Kate, who chose midwives over doctors to deliver their babies, the demand for a midwife is growing.
I think women are being empowered to take part in their health care and make decisions for their body, which is awesome.
Madeline Pascal is working on her master's to become a midwife. That's right, a master's degree. NYU's coordinator of midwifery education says after receiving a bachelor's degree, it takes 3 or more years of training.
Well worth it.
The baby's coming!
Oh my goodness.
People don't know that we go to school and have these graduate degrees. They also don't know where we practice.
A common misconception is midwives normally deliver in homes, but quite often they deliver here in hospitals.
95% of midwife births are attended in hospital settings.
And while midwives usually coach women through labor without drug intervention, those here say they're not against it. Still, the high-touch, low-tech approach is a part of the growing appeal.
You are a woman, you were meant to have babies, you were meant to grow a baby, and you're meant to birth the way your body tells you to.
Altman says the less invasive approach also means you're less likely to have a C-section under the guidance of a midwife.
If somebody needs a cesarean, I mean, we're all for it. But sometimes if you are patient enough and you wait, as long as the mom is doing well in labor and the baby is doing well, there's no reason to rush it.
And despite what many may think, a midwife's job is more than delivering babies.
We take care of women throughout their life cycles, from puberty, through childbearing, post-childbearing, as well as through menopause.
For midwives, Altman says a woman's health is their passion. Rose Itzcovitz, New York 1. A barbershop in the Norwood section of the Bronx, a tech startup in Hunts Point. Small businesses begin to transform the landscape of the borough.
There's no short of people who are hungry for opportunities and have skills. The fact that the opportunities are scarce here is the problem.
Scarce, but Miguel created opportunities when he opened his tech startup, Mass Ideation, in Hunts Point.
I realized, the type of career I wanted, I had to kind of create myself, because there were not many people like me in that world. And I thought I could possibly help bring the Bronx back up, or if it ever was up.
Thanks to startups like Miguel's, Bronx small businesses have increased 26% in the past 2 decades. Clarence Stanley directs the Small Business Development Center at Lehman College in the Bronx. He sees the change firsthand.
We're now calling the Bronx the new Brooklyn.
Bronx economic development fell behind the other boroughs, but some think the recent influx of immigrants changed that, like Gabriel Gonzalez.
That's a dream that we have. Any immigrant who come from different countries, come to this country, the dream to have, the American dream, you have to own a business. To encourage local business ventures, the Bronx Outreach Center has a small business incubator.
We're a support system, and I think that there was a need because it's a very, in some parts of the Bronx, it's very low-income communities. Unemployment in the Bronx is the highest in the city by far.
Nancy's right. At 9.3%, the Bronx still has the highest unemployment rate. But as of last September, it's under 10% for the first time in 5 years. Tech innovator Miguel Sanchez sees good things to come.
Now everybody's seeing the opportunities here and saying, okay, I've seen it happen in all the other boroughs. It's obviously eventually going to happen in the Bronx. Let me get in on that before it does.
In the Bronx, Rose Itzcovitz, New York City News Service. Police missed this little guy. They recently raided the Brooklyn backyard and took nearly 200 rabbits away.
The rabbits were stolen from me and nobody informs me what's going on.
Neighbors worried when it got really cold.
I just didn't think this is a good environment for them. and call 311.
These photos show the bunnies before the raid, and Trek says they were just fine. In fact, she says she's working on developing new breeds.
That the rabbits live outside all year round, and they have been adopted to all kinds of weather.
But some animal activists disagreed.
In this case, I went to the DA because the police and the SPCA had not acted, so I was hoping that the DA might act.
Exams showed the rabbits had bite marks, mites, and syphilis. On social media, neighbors and animal rights activists celebrated the rescue. But Trek says her project is far from over.
I can promise you, as soon as the spring comes, which is just about 1 month, this garden will be full of the rabbits. And there will always be rabbits here in this garden.
The police and the DA refuse to comment. They say it's an ongoing investigation. In New York, I'm Rose Itzcovitz, New York City News Service.
This has the mildew smell within this closet. I didn't empty the whole closet, but this is basically what the back looks like.
On the surface, her apartment looks well kept. But Josie Rodriguez says take a closer look, and you'll see the many problems she deals with daily.
We've had nothing but trouble within the walls of the apartment. I have had mold and mildew problems from the leaking roof.
Cracks in the walls have also created a pest problem.
I develop asthma from all this, and every winter I'm out sick because they have to treat me with upper respiratory issues.
Health researcher Dr. Marina Resnick says mold and pests are common asthma triggers, a huge problem for many living in the aging Bronx buildings.
Asthma hospitalizations are 5 times higher in the Bronx than overall in the nation.
But doctors and nonprofits are working to change that. Montefiore Medical Center teamed up with the Department of Health and community-based organizations, one of 18 teams nationwide to win funding through the Build Health Challenge project.
There will be some building inspections to identify, from the tenant's perspective, what are the issues in the building, what needs to be changed. And then we will be approaching landlords to get those, changes done.
But first, the community groups plan to help tenants organize so they themselves can advocate for better living situations.
I think that's the basic need for all of us, to be able to live in a housing, be it an apartment building, be it a home, that is environmentally safe.
And tenants say this is a win-win situation, not only for them, but for the landlords as well.
The landlord can benefit by energy efficiency and as well as providing green jobs.
For Rodriguez, the changes are long overdue.
I get frustrated and I become agitated because I fight and I fight and I fight. I want a clean environment.
She hopes the Build Challenge will give her that. The initiative will run over the next 2 years. Rose Itzcovitz, New York 1.